Hey guys, so today I thought I'd just talk about more of a rant than anything, but my biggest issues with the skincare, beauty, makeup industry as a whole. And I have a lot of issues with it. So I just thought I'd just do a little video and maybe you guys will notice it or let me know your thoughts on it. Or maybe I'm off base with some of these. So let me just get rolling. Sign up for my newsletter. That's the other thing. And send me pictures of your cute pets for my newsletter. Right, cameraman?
Yep.
Okay. And the email is for the newsletter. We'll put it in the thing below. Okay. So, my biggest issues. My first one is it shocks me how many beauty brands and products are just white labeled stuff. It's interesting. So, there's a brand that used to be at Sephora. I don't believe they're there any longer. It was called Dr. Lara Devgan. And their products were upwards of $200, $250 or more. And a little bit of digging on this brand, and their products were white labeled. And they had products that were identical to many of the dermatology brand, DRMLTY, their brand, had nearly identical products, or if not identical products. And the Lara Devgan brand was charging 5 times the price. And several people scoped it out pretty darn quickly once it was launched at Sephora. They launched with a short line of products. And these days, if this would have happened 15 years ago or 10 years ago even, people might not have noticed it. But now there's technology and there's dupe finders and there's ingredient lists. And it's not that hard or difficult to find out what brands are just white labeling products and selling them. And it's even more, in my opinion, arrogant, I have to say, to do that and charge that price for something that is white labeled. What inspiration is there behind it? What are you good at? I mean, there's thousands of brands out there. We don't need another just white labeled brand. There's enough of it out there that have stuff out there that's fine, especially if you're going to charge 5, 10 times the price of it. That's insulting, actually, is what it is. It's arrogant and it's insulting, and it really upsets me. Because in my opinion, they're taking advantage and almost, I won't say it's stealing, but almost stealing from people when they get the same thing for $20 that you're going to sell them for $200. In my opinion, that's almost theft. It's not, but you're taking advantage of people that don't know and can't figure it out themselves or just don't do enough research, and maybe you get the price you deserve. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so that's my biggest thing. Next up, I hate this, and I know people probably do this, and there's probably people that watch this that have done this, but I want you to think about it again. Payment plans for beauty products. There's a lot of companies now that will do Afterpay or some sort of payment plan, or they'll sell you their credit card so you can charge stuff. And beauty products are consumable products. You will continue to go through them maybe once a month, once every 3 months. It's a consumable product. You'll keep purchasing it. And I think putting these on payment plans, especially I have a feeling the rates on some of these might be a little bit crazy. Like they might get you in at 0 interest, but if you don't pay it instantly, they're going to charge you 28 whatever percent interest pretty quickly off of it. So I want to caution you, if you sign up for the credit card program, just make sure you're going to pay it off every month, because it's so easy and it's so fast to get over your head with these things, especially the way the economy is right now and inflation, and you're better off owing less people, less things, especially if you can't afford it. So if you have to do a payment plan, try and pick up maybe a more affordable brand. You don't have to spend a ton, especially some of these products or brands that are white labeling stuff. There's so many affordable brands out there, so you don't really, if you can't afford it, try not to buy it unless it's something you absolutely have to have. But I just think for, if you're taking a car or buying a house, that's a little bit different because it's not a consumable product. Well, a car is kind of consumable, but those are more kind of house as an asset versus skincare. It's not. So I just think be careful with it because it's just so fast and easy to get in over your head with it, and then you're in trouble. This next thing really has been bothering me actually a lot lately. Cruelty-free transparency. I'm like, the other day I reviewed a Peking Yule product, and I wasted like 3 hours, it wasn't 3 hours, but it was a lot of time, at least an hour or two, trying to figure out if they were cruelty-free or not. I look up websites, half of them say they're not, half of them say they are. And there's still no one list that really works well. There's a lot of great sites that are wonderful. Leaping Bunny, Ethical Elephant, things like that. But there's no just one site. So some of these sites had Peking eel listed as cruelty-free and some of them didn't. So which one is correct? And which one's been updated recently? And is Peking eel selling in China? And if they're selling in China, are they online in China? Are they in brick and mortar stores? If they're online and not in brick and mortar, have they made the agreements with China to have their brand be cruelty-free and not tested? I don't know. It's impossible for anybody to figure it out. So I guess the best thing to do if you're committed to it, find one source that you really trust and go with that. It makes it easier instead of looking at 5 different sources that you kind of trust all of them. And then you have to make the determination, then is it still right? Or has it been updated? Or has the brand sold in China or not? So I really think there needs to be more done on this. And there's organizations, some of the ones I just mentioned working on this, and more needs to be done still. And I think we're still a lot further behind than I thought we'd be in 2024 in terms of that. Another big thing, Photoshop. The other day in my newsletter, I had a little thing about Photoshop, and it showed some of these celebrities just in their regular life. And without the Photoshop, they look like you and I. They're not perfect. They're not perfectly airbrushed and seamless and wrinkle-free. They're not. Photoshop is done so often. The other thing that bothers me is a lot of times with mascara ads, and sometimes if you look at them, I think there was one for like a L'Oreal ad. It was like, it said this is basically fake. It was like just drawn on lashes on a picture. I mean, it's ridiculously stupid. And how accurate does that display the product then when so many things are Photoshopped? Everything's Photoshopped nowadays, probably. And sometimes it's easy to pick them out when you see somebody and they look like this, and then their like waist goes to nothing, and then sometimes it's easy to pick out, sometimes it's not. And then I think people unfairly judge themselves based on what they see, and what they see is not reality. It's Photoshop and it's fake. And I think there should be rules about it. Another thing, false advertising, greenwashing things. This is huge now. Preservatives are bad. Preservatives are evil. We don't want preservatives. Well, I'd rather have preservatives than put something with mold on my face, or mildew on my face, or bacteria on my face. So that's a huge one, and it's a huge issue, and a lot of brands aren't very good at doing it. So a lot of brands that are advertising themselves as clean don't do enough to preserve their products, and then people could get sick or infected or whatever from it. So preservatives are a huge one. I'm a big fan of them. So another one, lack of transparency of ingredients. So I can't not do this because I have to. So this herbivore product, which is called bakuchiol serum, interestingly, doesn't contain bakuchiol at all, because bakuchiol is a molecule obtained from an ingredient on this list, which is Soria corifolia extract, which bakuchiol is taken from that ingredient and synthesized into what is bakuchiol. But you can't put Soria corifolia extract in here and call it bakuchiol, because it's not. It's one ingredient from the same source with 2 totally different skincare outcomes, difference in quality and things like that. So you can't put Soria corifolia extract in here and call it bakuchiol, because actually Soria corifolia extract can be irritating. Bakuchiol is actually beneficial. That other ingredient, not. Same ingredient, but they didn't do the synthesization on it, and they just named it bakuchiol because they got in a fight with whoever the manufacturer for bakuchiol was, so they thought they could get by with this, and I'm offended and disgusted by it. I've not bought anything from this brand since. So that transparency is a big one. Also, what I really like, what Good Molecules has done with, they put their ingredient list on here, what ingredient it is, and what percentage of the product it's on in there. I really like that. I think that's huge in transparency, and I think it helps the people shop as a whole. Might be a little bit too much information for some people, but most of us, including you guys that are watching this, are educated on it and educated enough to understand this. So I think that's helpful. Another thing that bothers me is ingredient bandwagon popularity. So hyaluronic acid, it's the next best thing. Now it's in every product. Niacinamide, oh, it's wonderful. Now it's in every product. Squalane, it's in everything. I mean, like, these ingredients become popular and then they start showing up in every freaking product. And then it makes it harder for people that have issues with certain ingredients to use them, especially if you have sensitivity to something like niacinamide, and then suddenly niacinamide is in everything you're using in your routine, and suddenly without even knowing it, you're using 10, 20%, and your skin doesn't appreciate it. So I think that is an issue, and I think a lot of brands ride on the bandwagon because they're doing the skincare equivalent of fast fashion, quick releases, focus on what's popular, get it out there now, and then we'll look at the next best trend. So fast skincare, I guess I would call it. It's not fast fashion, but fast skincare. So instead of having a creative product come out, we're focusing on the bandwagon, the trends. Another one, this is probably controversial. The Dalton rule, in my opinion, should not be the end-all be-all of what ingredients we use. In my opinion, the Dalton rule in some cases is kind of a cop-out to just say, don't use this, it doesn't work, when, in my opinion, some ingredients that may be above the Dalton rule, sometimes they're used with penetration-enhancing ingredients, sometimes they're used with devices, sometimes they're used with microneedling. So to say, because copper peptides are above the Dalton rule, they're useless is BS, and not true, because if you use copper peptides in conjunction with microneedling, you can have amazing results. So I think saying the Dalton rule is the end-all be-all of what you should use is a cop-out, and it's very oversimplifying things. And in my opinion, a lot of ingredients aren't fully understood. And then some of these peptides are signaling, so maybe they don't necessarily need to penetrate to signal changes in your skin. So leave your thoughts about it, because I'm sure a lot of you will have thoughts that you're wrong, Sarah, which is fine, and tell me why. You know, I'm fine with that. I'm not right all the time, and you can tell me why, and I'll tell you why I believe what I believe. So, a couple more. The idea that makeup is skincare, like a lot of brands will release something. This is a foundation, skincare foundation with skin-loving ingredients. Typically, it just doesn't go well. There's a handful of exceptions here and there, but overall, typically, makeup and skincare are two totally different things used for two totally different reasons. And, yeah. And then last but not least, another thing, my issue, a lot of ingredients can be used and taken unethically from some places, so I think it's important to research things like that, like the mining of mica for eyeshadow. It's important to focus on brands and where they source it and things like that, because children can be used in the mines and things like that. Or palm oil is another big one, or ethical sourcing. So I think it's important to vote with your dollars by what brands you use. So check out where their sourcing is and things like that. And if they don't tell you where their sources is or are, and maybe it's not the best brand to support. So anyway, 15 minutes. And you know what? Honestly, I could go on for another hour, but maybe I'll make a part 2. So anyway, interested hearing from you guys. Leave a comment with your biggest issues with the beauty industry. And I'll see you guys more tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.